Alright, welcome back to Excellent Outdoors. It's been a long time since we made any videos. Back here with Alex, and we're going to talk about these things I've been making lately, which are just Fatwood Ferro Rod handles. Now, a lot of people have done this, but I think that we've got some extra tricks up our sleeves that we've learned from other people to incorporate this that will help us out. Now, Fatwood is just coniferous wood that has been dead quite a while, and the resin has solidified. I don't know if you can see. It's generally a very dark red color. It smells great. Use it as aftershave. But yeah, and so what that makes it is extra flammable. It's kind of interesting because you take a piece of wood like this, and inside here it's very flammable. And so theoretically, that means that as fires come through to regenerate the forest, this is going to be more flammable, and it's going to burn up before the live trees regeneration. So where is Fatwood? How to find it? There's a lot of videos out there about how to find it. I have some recommendations that I'll do at the end of the video, end of our video, on how to do it. This piece I found here recently. I knew that this was Fatwood because as I walked by and I kicked it, kicked off one of these nodules, and look, it's Fatwood. But easier than that, these, and I think it was Josh from Graybeards or Green Beret, this has been down for a long time. These knots sticking out of these branches are still here because inside there's a lot of resin. Okay, this dry stuff on the outside doesn't matter, but the inside pieces are full of this resinous wood. Not the center necessarily. You can see that that's white. That's pretty dry. But as I've been working with this a lot, you can see that these different knots that I've cut out are extremely loaded with Fatwood. So, all right, that's enough of an intro. We're going to come back and talk about how to make these things. All right, so let's talk about some things that are here on this table. Again, we have this this piece that we took with permission from private land. Let's not get too crazy about taking a lot of stuff off of public land. Fatwood is cool. Fatwood is pretty. You look at something like this. I think it's pretty, and then you look at this, that's absolutely dripping with Fatwood. But then you look at the grain, the way it's weathered. I don't know. I'm going to keep that. I'm probably not going to process it because I think it's cool. Same thing with this. The yellow is always a good indicator when you're out in the wild that that's a piece of Fatwood. Okay. Anyway. So we got our tools. I'm going to glove up. These are the best pair of gloves that I've ever found that were blown up against a fence, which makes them very cheap. Normally, I would not saw on my kitchen table, but it's dark outside, so this is how we're going to do it. This is just cheap Gerber folding saw. You can change the blades in. Got this at a pawn shop, and honestly I didn't have very high expectations. This Gerber saw, you can tell I need to clean the teeth because I've been doing a lot of this Fatwood projects. But it's not been bad, you know. I don't have a lot to compare it to, but it's been fine. We're doing this over a pan because the sawdust from this is going to be very important, and I'll show you that later. So let's start this cut. maybe we'll fast forward this piece. Making my kitchen smell fantastic. Normally I would not cut directly towards my hand like that. We'll come back in just a minute and finish this up. Okay, so we're almost through this. I wasn't loving now. I'm cutting this direction instead of cutting this way, and you'll see why as far as going with the grain. But this cross-handed method is much safer than cutting towards yourself. All right, so obviously that dark right there, that's a Fatwood. Okay, this piece. Okay, again, this kitchen smells fantastic because of this. Now, as we take this in steps, I'm not going to take you through everything to process this one piece into a handle. Okay, what I wanted to show you is, all right, you take it, you cut the piece off, and then I'm going to skip ahead, and we're going to go to a piece like this that's already been cut off. This is off the same piece, and we're going to move ahead on how to finish these off. All right, be right back. All right, so we cut our piece off. Obviously this isn't the same piece. We're skipping ahead, and we've cleaned it up. We've taken off all of the the dry outside pieces. Also, more carbon Graybeard, highly recommended. It's as good as you can do for under 20 bucks. This is actually the HD version, which has a little bit thicker of a spine. So, all right, so you got a piece like this. Okay, I've tried in the past using more of pieces like this. These are both Fatwood. They might look the same. This one, okay, is just a little bit too dried out. So when you go on to the next step after we cut this on both ends, you can't drill it. It's not drillable. So so you're looking for things that are much more one piece and not so cracked. Okay. All right. We're going to do one cut on this, and then we're going to skip ahead. Okay. And again, we're saving the sawdust because it will be useful. See? This is why I'm wearing gloves. I don't usually cut on a baking pan. All right, so very Fatwood. Okay, gonna take this piece. We're gonna process it down by batoning into these. Okay, throw them in kits or whatnot. Fatwood twigs. All right, this piece is we're going to chop it off on this end eventually, and it's going to become the next handle. But we're going to skip ahead. All right, be right back. All right, so we've cut the ends off of our piece of Fatwood. This is a different piece of Fatwood. Again, skip ahead. We cut the ends off. We've processed it. It's nice, smooth, pretty, beautiful smelling piece of wood. And so now come the next steps on making this into what we want, okay? So, we're gonna drill. Now, obviously, this is the ferro rod piece, right? We're gonna take, these are Bayite ferro rods that you get on Amazon. They're not that expensive. These are 1/2 inch by 5, if I had to guess. I've used smaller, these are 5/16 ferro rods, but there's a reason why we don't want these for this project, although that is a beautiful piece of Fatwood, just saying. All right. So we're gonna drill. I'm not gonna do it on this video, but you really need a very small pilot. You need to step up very slowly, okay? Because if you don't, all of these splits, if you don't step up, all of these splits will break, okay? Especially if it's dry. This thing will break anyway, okay? But something like this, that's very solid, again, you still step up, step up, step up, step up. Because once you get to the 1/2 inch drill bit and you split it, sad times are ahead, because you've just spent all this time creating this thing and then you've split it and it doesn't work, okay? So we drill it to get the ferro rod in, okay? And again, this has already been done. I think this is tight enough. I need to use a glove. We're going to talk about some, hold on, not quite there. There we go. Okay, this hole, okay? This is specially drilled, okay? Now, I thought about, and I've seen videos where a person just epoxies these ferro rods in, okay? One great video about making these things talks about that, but then I thought, okay, this is consumable. This is consumable. So why would you epoxy them together? Okay. The reason why, obviously, is because as you're striking it, you don't want this to fly out and be lost. Okay. So what can you do? So the hole in the Bayite rod and this hole are going to accommodate just easy piece of paracord. This may or may not go through. I may have to cut away. This has already been in here once when I took it apart, but we're so close. Okay. So now, it's not epoxied. You're going to have a lanyard, okay? Obviously it's not tied together yet. And as you strike it, that's not gonna fly out. It's not gonna pull that whole piece of paracord out through the end of the Fatwood, so. Okay, we have 2 more tricks that we're going to do with these, and I'm gonna be right back to show you what they are. All right, so before I go on in making these, the question is, so why Fatwood and a ferro rod, okay? Everyone, you know, there's a lot of ways to start a fire, so why would you choose this? In a survival situation, what I carry with me, obviously, would be a Bic lighter and cotton balls with a fastening, okay? You cannot beat that as far as a tinder and a flame, okay? Starting fire in the wild is, well, anyway, you need a tinder, a spark, or a flame, and then once you get that going, then you have kindling, and then you have bigger pieces of wood, okay? So why this? Well, number one, it's cool. Bushcrafters, obviously, everyone loves Fatwood, everyone loves ferro rods. You have all of your tinder right here. You have your spark right here, okay? You shave this down, as I'm going to show you, okay? And that's your tinder. You spark it, and you've got flame, okay? All contained, okay? So that's why you might choose this thing. Is an ultralight hiker going to carry this? No, this is heavy, all right? They are not going to carry this, but it's cool. You can make it yourself. It's fun, and yeah. So we have a secret, okay, that the past videos of making these things, I've never seen them do these two things. I've seen one person do this, okay, and that's David Pearson at Really Big Monkey, and I'm going to tell you what it's for. So we have, I don't know if you can zoom in on this or you can come in part of the drilling. So we drill for the ferro rod, we drill for the lanyard, okay, through where the ferro rod go. This hole is a little bit extra, we're going to talk about in a minute. And then we drilled all these holes in the end, okay? You know, why would you do that? So I learned this again from David Pearson, Really Big Monkey 1, in front of the woods. So here's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to take our trusty Leatherman super tool, okay? We have drilled this end because that's going to become not our tinder, but that's going to become our kindling, okay? So let's watch this to see how this works, okay? We want to cut off a very thin wafer. Now, you might not be able to hear my voice. As you're cutting this, say you're out in the wild, the sawdust that I'm creating is going to add to my tinder, okay? So never mind the rest of this stuff. That doesn't matter. You know, we did that before. That's not there because we're out in a survival situation, okay? So what we have, this little pile of fluff in this little guy, okay? That's our tinder. This is our spark. That's our kindling, all right? Now, we're going to give an example of how this is going to work and see how long it goes. Probably not going to use the entire little wafer because we're literally in an apartment right now and we don't want a fire to burn for 10 minutes. So I'll probably cut some pieces off and give an example of the whole kit and caboodle all together. All right, thanks. All right, so it's very important that we're not trying this at home, okay? We live in a state, Colorado, that is incredibly flammable, and this year was good, but last year we had the three biggest fires in the state's history, okay? I do not take fire lighting lightly, okay? So for me, this is just kind of a theoretical exercise at this point. So, you know, we've got a cast iron pot, we got our tin foil, and that's exactly the amount of tinder that came off from cutting the wafer off. We're not going to use the whole wafer because I think you'll see that it'll burn for quite a while. Okay, so you're in an emergency situation, you need to light a fire, or you just need to light a fire. Right? You've got this, you got your tinder, and I'm just going to use these little pieces of the disc that we cut off. Okay. Again, trusty Leatherman. Don't judge my ferro rod techniques because I'm used to lighting them on the ground, not on a stove. So. Alright, so. I know, I didn't start the timer. Okay. There you go, the tinder. Okay. Again, still going just those little pieces, just the sawdust, just a little tiny bit of that disc that we put on it. If you have a further tinder bartlett, or kindling, you've got a long time, okay, to dry it out to get it started. Still going. Double check it's not hot on the bottom. It's perfectly fine. Yeah. It's not even burning all of the fat. Still going. Just a little tiny bit of sawdust. We were going to do a timer on my son's phone, but it locked, and I didn't know the password, so oh yeah. Interestingly enough, I knew the password, I just didn't remember it in the moment. Alright. Still going. Still going. It has to be maybe more. A little bummed that my little that little stick doesn't stay light. It's not much of a camel. This edge is sharper. So nope. There we go. Fatwood candle. This is part of the pieces that that's part of the pieces that you process in the time. So anyways, yeah. So yeah. Let's get this fan off, get this put out, and I'll wrap this up in just a minute. Alright, so as you saw just from a little bit of sawing this piece off, the sawdust, and the little tiny bit that we used of this wafer, Alex informed me that that was about 3 minutes and 20 seconds that it burned in the video. Okay, that is a long time. Okay, it's a long time to get a fire going, and you know there's a lot of wafers to be had in here. Now this hole, interestingly enough, this has a 0.2. Okay. Initially I thought, you know, put the ferro rod all the way through, that's why the hole was there. That's why processes like this are ongoing. But here we have this, as Alex asked, is that a joint? No. What this is, this piece of tin foil that's filled with shavings, filled with sawdust basically. And so my idea was you take this, you put it in this hole, okay, you break it off, you seal it, whatever. And now, not only do you have the shavings from when you cut the piece, shavings from if you want to feather stick it, but you also have a little extra tinder. Okay? Now, that's something we didn't talk about. So, alright, this is all consumable. So, say you don't want to cut a wafer off, alright? You can, again, this is just Leatherman saw. Those things right there, that'll burn for a long time. Okay, not only that, but again, I worry that I called this again carbon Garberg. It's not. Hopefully it's companion. It's a companion HD is what it is. I've done that before, and I hate that I do that. Okay, so not only do you have the back of the saw pieces, you can make feathers. Okay, I'm not always the best at making feathers, but okay. Those pieces right there, that little lot, okay, without having to do much to the stick, That's gonna burn for a long time. All right, so sawdust, back of the tool, okay. Now, it's kind of funny that I make a video like this because I really don't believe in lighting fires unless you're an extremist, okay? I don't think I've lit a fire outside in at least 10 years, okay? Don't love them. I think that people are too nonchalant about their fire lighting. I think it's a little bit too dangerous. But if I needed to, man, these things are good at it, okay? So, I'll jump off my soapbox. You know, if you find this interesting, feel free, like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I don't have a lot of followers yet, but I think that Alex and I are working towards doing some cool stuff. So yeah, tell me what you think, and we'll see you next time.